had you guys going there for a second. No, we're not going to be doing a silent review of a silent film. We're just going to do a normal review of a silent film. But I had to do a little bit of fun at the beginning. But we are reviewing 1925's The Gold Rush, starring Charlie Chaplin. Now, the first thing I have to say about this film is it is the first film that Charlie Chaplin released through United Artists, the film company that made him very famous and would release many, many more after this. That being said, before this, obviously, he was still popular. He had some movies or whatever, but United Artists really got on the train for this and got him before anybody else could. And it was a very, very good move for them because they're still one of the, I wouldn't say one of the top ones anymore, but they're still very high up there in the movie making business. But this movie has basically two parts to it. And the first one's about 30 minutes long. The second one's about an hour long. And the first one is basically setting up the story for the second one. Charlie Chaplin plays his very normal, his very iconic tramp character, and he is a prospector that's trying to go up in the 1846 gold rush in Alaska and just trying to make his fortune. Okay, and at the very beginning, he goes to a cabin and he meets a guy, and another guy comes in, and they get trapped in there in a snowstorm. Okay, and they're trapped there for a long time. And a lot of this is them figuring out, okay, we have no food. How are we going to get food? What's going to happen? And this entire sequence was actually based off of the Donner Party. Yes, that Donner Party, but it doesn't go quite that far. It goes to a part of the Donner Party story and stops. It goes to the part where basically they're starving and they try to eat their moccasins. This is the Donner Party. In this movie, they try to eat a boot. Okay, they have a comic sequence where you got Charlie Chaplin, you got his buddy, he's sitting there. They boil a boot and they try to eat it. Now, what's interesting about this scene is the boot was made out of black licorice. The laces, they were then woven together to make the actual shoe. But Charlie Chaplin was a diabetic. Okay, and the problem was when he ate all of this in there, he actually went into shock and had to be taken to the hospital to take care of that problem. So it was really a dangerous scene, but that was kind of what this man did to his craft, trying to just get the best product out there. But like I said, this cabin scene is only the first part in that movie. You then have to go into what happens after the snowstorm, where he goes to find his treasure, and then you have a love story that happens along there, and then it goes through all of that, and then, you know, there's just a bunch of things that happen throughout this movie besides just that part. Now, this is also the home to a lot of iconic scenes, okay? You've got the scene where Charlie Chaplin, you probably have seen it on some things, he's got the cabin that is on the cliff, and it's teetering back and forth, and depending on where they stepped, it went this way or that way, okay? And you have a whole comedic sequence that way. They open the door and they're like holding on, and there's a cliff down there they could possibly. They have that scene in here as well. But like I said, it's got actually a pretty good story beyond that, involving a woman, sort of a Gaston type character, if you've seen Beauty and the Beast, and everything like that. And it's a very well done story, and the acting obviously had to be superb because it was a silent film. Everything they had to do had to be motion related, had to do very big movements. They had the eyeliner going around so you could see their eyes, and it was very well done from a movie making standpoint. And what's interesting is, at the time, it was the longest comic film reel that had ever been made. It had 10 reels and stretched about 9,700 feet before editing. 9,700 feet. We're getting almost up to 1 3/4 miles. Okay, of just film. Little film going boop, 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 over there. But then when they edited it, it went down to 8,500 feet, which is still the longest edited film of the time. Now, obviously, we have more now, and we actually don't even use film, we use digital, but they got longer as they went. But at this time, that was actually a really, really big feat, especially for a comedy film. For dramas, it wasn't exactly that, but comic films, they didn't think people could be interested this long. And obviously, this movie showed them differently. Now, everything in this movie was actually done on set except for one scene, and that was the initial scene where you see thousands of men basically going through one trail trying to get to their fortune. Okay, they're trying to get to the gold, trying to figure out what's going on. And for that day, they actually hired 2,500 men just to walk this path, and they paid them 1 day's pay, and that was the only time you ever see them. They don't even get credit in the movie for who they are, but they did get paid for that 1 day of work. Now, at the time this was released, there was no Academy Awards. They didn't have any that sort of came out that way. But when it came out, they actually gave it later Academy Awards. They gave it 2 in 1943, or at least gave it 2 nominations. It didn't win any, but it did win for Best Dramatic Score. And I know what you're thinking, this is a silent film. How is there a dramatic score? Well, music has a progression throughout movies. And it started out where You had these musicians that knew snips of classical music. And like, okay, they're doing this on the scene. We're going to play this classical music snip. They are doing this on the scene. We're going to play this classical music snip. That actually goes a little bit into actual movies. We'll get into a couple of those maybe a little later. But then it went into sort of an improvisation idea where the piano player would be playing what it's saying. It's like, okay, I want it to sound like this. Okay, right here. But for this one, they actually had a score that was written for the entire movie. For example, the Lone Prospector, the tramp character, it has this theme. Ba-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum. Goes on and on, but that's the main theme for that. And every time he comes out, it's got that leitmotif that you'll hear from all of that. It also got nominated for Best Sound in a Film, which goes to, I guess, sort of the instruments they were using and all of that. But it did get recognized afterwards, even though they did not have an Academy Award at that time. But Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush left me laughing hysterically. Hashtag acting at its finest. Hashtag Chaplin made it popular first. Okay, guys, so that is The Gold Rush starring Charlie Chaplin. If you are enjoying these classic movies, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss one that comes out. Like I said, I'm doing one every week, and they're going to be released on Sundays. So really hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't heard, if we do hit 200 subscribers on this channel, I'm going to do the Toe of Satan challenge while reviewing a devil movie for your entertainment. So please be sure to not only subscribe, but get your friends subscribed so we can get this community of movie lovers going. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. God bless all of you. And that's a wrap.